Some of you watching tonight might find it hard to imagine how a Russian invasion of the Ukraine could impact Australia. But Peter Dutton is right. Not only would war in Europe smash energy availability at a crucial time, it'd also gravely destabilise the world order under which all of us have prospered, and almost inevitably embolden China, who want to seize Taiwan as part of their very clear ambition to become the global superpower. Last Friday in Melbourne, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken finally echoed what the Chinese have been saying publicly for years, but which the West has only before acknowledged behind closed doors. That China's aim is world domination. And we have to face the fact that a China-dominated world would be a very different one than the American-dominated world we've all been lucky enough to live in over the past 70 years. If you doubt that, look at how China has run the Winter Olympics, with athletes forbidden to say anything critical of the communist regime, including anything supportive of Chamberlain, the Australian TV host who's been imprisoned without visitors or without trial for the past 18 months. Look at the slow strangulation of Hong Kong. The 70-year-old newspaper publisher there, Jimmy Lai, now under indefinite arrest. Look at the genocide against the Muslim Uyghurs, more than 1 million of whom are languishing in a concentration camp. Just a week ago, the new Russian Tsar and the new communist emperor, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, they sealed a pact they said would herald a new era in world affairs and gave each other the green light to take over the Ukraine and Taiwan, two practically independent countries that these dictators want back. A Russian invasion of the Ukraine would almost certainly cost hundreds of thousands of lives. If successful, it would almost certainly result in a new Iron Curtain in Europe. The Ukraine is in danger in part because so much of Western Europe, Germany in particular, has become dependent on Russian gas for its energy supply. This is fracturing the unity of NATO and undermining a united response to Russian aggression. The threatened sanctions against Russia, should it invade, will almost certainly send fuel prices soaring around the globe and lead to massive economic dislocation in Europe as the strategic balance tilts decidedly against democracies. Still, it's only for the past quarter century that the Ukraine has been out of the Russian orbit, and America and its allies have given no binding commitments to defend it. Taiwan, though, completely different story, with even more disastrous downside. Under the Taiwan Relations Act, the US has given commitments to Taiwan, so any Chinese aggression there will trigger either a conflict between the world's strongest powers or the collapse of the American alliance system if the US fails to then honour its commitments. Even if we wanted to, we can't avoid the fallout from major conflict in other parts of the world. The ANZUS alliance commits us to helping the United States in its struggles in return for its help in ours. There's no doubt that we all hope here that war can be avoided, but just because war is unthinkable to us and we don't want it, doesn't mean it's unthinkable to others or it isn't going to happen. Even if it held back for the time being, even if no one credibly believes that China and Russia will lose their ambitions to turn their neighbours into colonies. I hope I'm wrong, but it could turn out that the pandemic is the least of our challenges. And doesn't this just highlight the folly of countries right across Europe and the UK becoming so dependent on intermittent wind and solar power that they need Russian gas just to keep the lights on? It's part of the reason I'm so dead against net zero follies here in Australia. A promise to replace our fossil fuel bounty with technologies that either haven't even been invented yet or used in any large-scale way. It's madness when you look at the security situation around the world and the reality that the two biggest global threats to global peace, Russia and China, have no such qualms about using as much coal and gas they can get their hands on. I used to read history books and wonder why so many refused to see the writing on the wall in the late 1930s, wondering why those in the Chamberlain camp effectively buried their heads in the sand. How could they have been so blind, I used to think, yet here we are. Here we are. Unless we open our eyes, all of us, I fear, will find that history judges us the same way.